So looking back, I realized I wasn't an unsuccessful artist. I was actually a successful artist, just measuring myself by the wrong metrics. So when I first started out on my creative journey and my artistic journey, I was actually doing so many things, wearing so many hats, and just always striving to hit the next goal that I didn't even realize that I had achieved a level of success. I was actually an independent artist and a full-time artist who was just doing many different things to bring in income for several years. So I want to share with you the lessons that I wish I had learned so many years ago in this video. I'm Rachel, and I have fun doing so many things, like playing, singing, dancing, painting, filming, and many more. Cause I'm a Mosaic soul, I'm proud to be me, being bold, divine, and free. So the first lesson that I learned is to stop measuring your success by vanity metrics. And so what I mean by that is a lot of times in our businesses and in just the artistry world in general, we're taught to measure our value by how many likes, how many thumbs up did we get, how many followers did we have, like views, followers, right? Streams or going viral, right? And those are business metrics, not actually your worth, right? And they also don't really show you a big picture or a valuable picture of your actual business health, right? These are just sort of outside metrics that you look at to say, okay, they could possibly be doing well, but those aren't really the metrics that actually show your business growth of what's actually going on in your life. There's several and countless artists that I know and creatives who don't have a big following, are not even on social media at all, but they're full-time artists, right? There's also people who have big followings, huge, like even millions of followers, and they're barely even making $5,000 a month in their business kind of thing, right? And there's no wrong or right to this, but it's just when you start to understand vanity metrics like views versus followers versus streams and going viral and all this stuff, that doesn't necessarily correlate to you actually having a good business. As well, on a spiritual tip, right, that doesn't equate to your worth, right, as an artist, right? So your worth is not measured in likes and follows and, views and all that stuff. It's not measured, like your worth has nothing even to do with your business or your creativity, right? You are a worthy being just by existing, right? Being a divine, infinite being, having this human experience, in my viewpoint. So those are two different things that I would have stopped doing, is stop measuring your success, stop measuring my success by vanity metrics, and also stop measuring my sense of self-worth by these vanity metrics as well. The second thing that I would do is to track my numbers. So track your numbers, right? So ironically, you don't want to over obsess about the numbers, but you do want to track them, right? So things like your income, your expenses versus your revenue, right? Songs released, art sold, right? Gigs performed, right? Students taught, if you were a teacher, like I taught music lessons for many years, right? Clients served, if you do things like I did, like graphic design or other things that you do. Maybe you're a videographer and you also do videos for other clients outside of you just being a filmmaker or whatever, right? Hours created, right? So if I had tracked my artistic income over the years, I would have realized that I was already making a full-time living from my creativity. And it really helped me to see, like hindsight 2020, now that I do track my numbers, how successful or how like far off I am from my mark versus what I actually think was going on. So for many years, I was living as a full-time artist. I was making money, whether through voice lessons, through photography, through putting on, having self-created gigs or getting paid gigs in other situations. I was making money from all my different passions and creatives and paying my bills from these creative things. But because I had this sort of distorted view of what success looked like, I had thought that I wasn't successful and that I wasn't, reaching the dream, right? Because I was looking at all of these sort of external views of what society say is a successful artist, because there's many people who don't believe that artistry is actual life path. But for those who do believe in a life path of successful artists, they always have only one picture, right? Either you're, I can't even think of a famous living artist. I was about to say either you're Picasso or, but anyways, either you're Picasso or you're Beyonce or you're, insert famous person here. Like, and it discounts like the middle and working class at all, right? So I've met several artists who you have never heard of, who make a nice living, who live in nice houses, and who you will probably never hear of, right? But because we as a society as a whole have this sort of distorted view, us as artists have also picked up a lot of these unspoken narratives in our minds about what is actually successful and what isn't. So learning to track your numbers is really, really crucial. And if you are looking to have some support in this, I'm actually creating a toolkit that I'm going to be releasing in tandem with my Mosaic Souls World membership. So definitely sign up for my waitlist at mosaicsoulsworld.com to grab a copy of that. It's called the Artist Money Toolkit, and it helps you to actually track your numbers and so much more. And then, so let's talk about the third lesson I would have learned earlier, which is to celebrate every single win, right? Every first paid gig, like your first fan, right? Your first CD sold, or your first like original art piece sold, or your first original song that was perceived well, right? Or your first email subscriber, right? Your first online sale from a stranger, right? Like not your mom or your sister or your brother, but like some stranger who just found you on the internet and bought your stuff, right? First standing ovation, right? If you are a performer, right? First out of state gig, right? First person to sing your lyrics back to you and like feeling like, oh my gosh, this person like knows my lyrics, even if it's just that one person, right? I skipped over so many of these milestones because I was chasing the next one, right? So I wish I had actually taken a moment and taken a breather for every milestone and being like, okay, this is a sign of progress. This is a sign showing my nervous system that I am successful, showing my nervous system that it is possible for me to feed myself with my creativity, right? And I think a lot of times as artists, we are always striving for the next thing, trying to hit the next goal because we're trying to reach some like arbitrary number, or not even necessarily arbitrary. It could be just arbitrary version or vision of success that sort of discounts our life experience, right? And we don't give ourselves grace to enjoy our journey, right? And I wish I had done that more in the earlier stages of my artist career. The fourth lesson I wish I had learned earlier was every life you touch is an actual success, right? So we think that success starts at 10,000 people or 10,000, followers or, subscribers or something like that. But sometimes changing one person's life is enough. I can't tell you how many times people have come up to me after shows, after me performing live, or, sent me an email or something like that telling me how much my song or, my positive words or my viewpoint helped to shape their lives, right? Like I had, someone that I really admired as well, even like in your own peer space, right? Of having conversations, of being uplifting, people coming back to me years later, like 10, 15 years later saying, I remember that conversation that we had at that cafe that one time when you said this to me, and it like really helped propel me in a certain way. And me being like, oh my gosh, like I don't even remember that conversation, or like I remember that conversation, but I don't remember saying that. And yet I feel like you're whispering back the wisdom that I gave to you to me kind of energy. I've had that happen. I've had several people, who were struggling with certain life circumstances come up to me and just say, how much my song really touched them or really helped like ease their pain or whatever, emotional healing. And so like the more that you understand that you are literally a healer as an artist, like your art is healing for people. Even if your art brings joy, right? That's emotional healing, right? If your art is playful, or if your art is, whatever, whimsical or creative or whatever, or even deep, or like, peeling back layers of things or transformative, like we are naturally healers. Like being an artist in my book is also being a healer, right? So start to understand that every life that you touch is a success. And that's like one little ripple effect that you're like putting out, one little seed that you're planting into the hearts and souls of humanity, right? And I think it's such a beautiful life path to choose, like to embark on. The fifth lesson I wish I had learned was believe in yourself sooner, right? I waited for external validation way too many times, right? And instead of knowing that the confidence needed to come from within me, whether it was looking for outside validation from my peers or looking for outside validation from fans or fill in the blank, I so often self-sabotage myself because I always was measuring my barometer of success by other people's receiving of my gift, right? And I'm at this stage in my life where I feel like I am just a channeler, right? I'm a channeler for the divine. I'm a channeler for my life experiences in the best way I can be. And I just leave the rest to the divine. I leave the rest to God, however you want to call that. It's not my job for how you receive it, right? Of course, I try to do things with tact and grace as much as I possibly can. But in general, I'm not in charge of how the audience receives it. I just hope, that I know that if it resonates with one person, it probably is going to resonate with many people. And I just let the divine do its work. Of course, I do other things in order to build my business, like market my business or other things like that. But I have to understand that confidence is not something that I'm going to achieve or receive outside of myself. That confidence comes from within, knowing who you are, knowing that you are powerful, that you are a disseminator of wisdom, that you are a disseminator of a different viewpoint. Your unique lens through which you see the world is what artists are, right? Us creating worlds that don't exist, like visual artists, or, soundscapes that haven't existed, or a message through your music in a way that touches the hearts and lives of other people, or filmmaking that helps to shape a narrative, right, that maybe hasn't been seen before, right? This is powerful work. This is really like some witchcraft type stuff when you realize that like artistry is really like magic in its own right, right? And when we can start to see that we're super powerful in the way that we are, that this life path is very powerful, like you start to believe in yourself way quicker. And I wish I had done that a lot sooner than trying to like outsource my sense of self-worth and outsource my sense of confidence and validation outside of me versus sourcing it from within, right? The sixth lesson that I wish I had learned was to stop listening to people who aren't building what you're building, right? Too oftentimes I have let people who were secretly jealous of me influence me, jealous friends, so-called friends, family projections, random opinions from strangers that I don't even know, or, random opinions from even colleagues or people that you look up to. Not everyone deserves a vote in your life, right? As a divine channeler, for me, as an artist, I look at us as like channelers from the divine to certain extents. Like you see your vision in your mind. You have a vision that received to you, like as an antenna that you are from source. You can't expect other people to get on board with your vision all the time. Like, especially in the beginning phases, like a lot of people will discount you because one, a lot of people are not living or walking in their soul's purpose. And two, a lot of people just have fears and trauma and things of that nature that they haven't unpacked and released within their own lives. So they have a tendency to project onto you. And so oftentimes, in my younger, like in my beginning stages of my artistry, I would let these opinions influence me, right? And stop me from building what I was building, and like influence me in a negative way and sort of put me on this trajectory of walking away from my creativity in various ways over the years, right? The seventh lesson I wish I had learned was to stop starting and stopping. Now, this is only unique. You might see yourself in this, but this is definitely my journey. Momentum really matters, right? Every long pause made restarting harder later on, right? So what I wish I would have known is just keep plugging away at it. Don't stop and start. Like there's so many times that I put on several gigs, you know what I mean, putting on my own, hosting my own live events or stuff like that. And I would stop because in my mind back then, like I said, I wasn't measuring my success by the right numbers and I wasn't tracking my income. And so my vision was very distorted on what success was. And if I had done all of these things that I just previously said, along with like not stopping, I would have made a lot more progress in terms of, the business that I want. But everything happens for a reason. Everything in divine season, but I don't regret it. But hindsight 2020, I would not have stopped. I wouldn't have let my distorted vision or view of what success stop me from pursuing my creativity, right? For so many years in the way that I wanted to pursue it. And another thing that you kind of learn is that the work compounds, right? The work compounds. When I think about one of the exercises that I like to do often, and I jokingly do this with my loved ones often when I'm having conversations with them, is I always do the write your obituary exercise. And when I think about what I want people to say in my, like, when I'm dead and gone, is that, I achieved XYZ. I did so many things. I've created so many things. I'm preceded by this legacy and body of artwork, right? Creativity creative expression, right? And that's, to me, is a life well lived, right? Everybody has a different, what you want your obituary to sound like. But for me, that to me is a life well lived. So for me, having that starting and stopping moment that I did a lot throughout my artistic career, I didn't realize that hindsight 2020 that I'm naturally prolific. I literally have 100 ideas every single day. And I have to temper that with like being realistic and grounding myself in the present moment for what I'm creating, so I don't get overwhelmed. It's my neurospiciness, right? But the whole starting and stopping is definitely it's really hard to pick it back up. That's why so many people who, say, oh yeah, I used to paint and draw when I was in high school, or I used to do this thing when I was it. And then when they come back into their like 30s or 40s or 50s, they're like, well, I can't do that anymore. It's almost like you're asking for permission to be who you already naturally are, and it's like this permission slip that we start to get into versus like just constantly plugging away at things. Even like you've probably seen even me on this channel with my visual art journey. Like if you go back and look at some of my old stuff versus some of the artwork that I'm doing now, like there's some leaps and bounds. Like I still have leaps and bounds to make. I'm not, I'm like not perfect. I think that's the journey of an artist. But like, they're like just learning to hone in your craft and continue to produce work, and like you're going to grow and evolve, and that's a part of the process. And it's a beautiful journey when you embrace it and stop harping on yourself or judging yourself too harshly that you almost give up on your artistry. The eighth lesson I learned was to document the process, not just the masterpiece. I wish I had learned this, and I only really grokked this recently, especially with like this YouTube journey that I'm embarking on here, and like just sharing more of the behind the scenes. Like show the voice notes, show the sketches, right? Show the unfinished work. People really connect with the journey and start to root for your success. There's so many times that I wish I had just shown the journey. You know what I mean? When I think about that's why I created that other video. I was already a successful artist because a lot of stuff that I've created and done, I've never documented. Like I've performed out of state. I have several gigs. I have created so many different types of live events and things of that nature, shelling my own CDs and printing and pressing my own things and mixing and mastering my own songs and doing all these things for my creative journey. And I didn't document it. And I wish I had done that because I would have more footage to like show you guys. But like definitely document your journey, even if it's not something that you show publicly. It's just something that you will have for your own archives and like be able to look back on the things that you've accomplished and like your archive of work. I think that's very important as artists to have that body of work to show your progress and your evolution. It's a beautiful journey, right? The ninth lesson that I've learned is that rest is a part of the creative process. So you're not lazy, you're composting ideas. A lot of times as I call it high achieving artists, like we get so like caught in like trying to make the next thing happen because there's so many divine downloads that we get that we often forget. And I can speak for myself, not everybody's like this. Some people get that rest is a part of the journey, but I definitely burn myself out so many times because I have so many divine downloads and I want to do it all today, right now. And I don't realize that I'm a human and I have to eat, I have to sleep, I have to, defecate, I have to take care of my body, I have to give my brain like mental rest of nothingness and like boredom. Like boredom is actually healthy, And it's also like understanding that recovery is actually productive. Recovery is a part of the creative journey, and to not push yourself so much, right? That's why I don't believe in hustle hard culture, because especially for people who identify as female or women in general, our rhythms are just way different. Even like when I think about when I do Lyft driving and stuff like that, I've met so many other like Lyft drivers who are male identified and they just have a different rhythm, like rhythmic center. Like I've met people who can do Lyft for like 12 hours in a day and just be like going hard and hammering at it. And I just can't do it. Like after 4 hours, I'm good. Like 6 hours at the max, I'm good. Like I just don't work in that way. Like I'm very sensitive, I'm very intuitive, I'm very like energetically drained from being around a lot of stimulation, and I kind of attribute that to my neurospiciness. But in general, like my rhythms work a lot differently, even when I'm just doing creative work, like I can go all in on my art, like go all in on a painting or creating a video or working on a song for like 8 hours straight. And then I conk out for like a day or 2 or 3 afterwards. So like understanding that recovery is a part of your productivity is very healthy, and to build that in to your journey, right? To build in more rest, to build in more downtime is very healthy. The 10th lesson that I've learned is to implement what you've learned, right? So this one is huge for me. Some people actually struggle with not investing in themselves, not like learning new processes. As an artist, one of the things I really struggled with, which is why I kind of really went to school and got my music management degree, because I wanted to learn the business. And I knew that that was the thing that would cripple me. And I wanted to understand the workings of, the music business side of things. And taking marketing courses and all these other like accounting courses and stuff to finish my degree, it helped me to open my mind to the the business side of being an artist, right? But too often, like even in my journey outside of college, that I bought so many courses. I bought the courses, I hired coaches to help me, right? I bought the recording gear, right? I paid engineers to help me and stuff like that. And I even learned the marketing. But the problem for me wasn't the lack of knowledge. It was actually not consistently implementing what I had already known. Now, other people struggle with this part of the journey of not investing in themselves and not getting the knowledge they want to know to grow their business. Because this is, as an artist, you are a business owner, whether you like it or not. In order to live in this capitalistic society, you can, there's like, you have two options: live in the capitalistic society and figure out how this whole money and business thing works if you choose to be a full-time artist, or, opt out of that life, go buy a piece of land or live on a community and reduce your living expenses dramatically so that you don't have to, put so much pressure on your artistry. Like those are literally the two options. There might be some other options that I'm not listing, but those are the two options that come to mind. So when you understand that, like, you have to play this whole capitalism game, investing and learning how, marketing, accounting, tracking numbers, all these things work in terms of your business really helps you to succeed and thrive as an artist, right? So for me, my issue wasn't that I didn't know these things, is that I wasn't implementing these things, right? Like I wasn't tracking my numbers. I wasn't always marketing. I would start and stop all the time, right? So knowledge doesn't really change your life like implementation does. And that's what I'm like really, really harping on, like moving the second iteration of me, like going through and like building this artistic business of mine, right? The 11th lesson that I learned was that you're already building a career, right? So I kept waiting to become an artist, like I talked about in the other video that I'll link up here. I was already one, right? That's the kicker, was I was already one. I was teaching, I was doing photography, I've been doing music lessons, I've done live performances. I'll just link the video back to all the ways that I've made money as an artist here. I've done so many things: branding, art, right? Design, recording vocals, right? Filmmaking and all of the things, right? I was already living as an independent, multidisciplinary artist. I just really didn't recognize it. And when you start to see, even if you're someone who's doing it part-time, on the side, and you have a main gig, you're still an artist. Like being an artist doesn't mean like, all of your income is coming from the artist. No, being an artist means that you are a channel for the divine that disseminates healing, wisdom, or creativity, or whimsical, or whatever your flavor of branding is, through your messaging in a way that helps heal other people, that helps bring joy or light or insight to other humans, right? That's what being an artist is, not your income. And when you understand that you can stop waiting to become an artist and actually say, just own the title. You are an artist. Don't say I'm an aspiring artist. Like, I did that for many years. And I think that's a crippling way of approaching things. Just own the title. You're an artist. Boom. Bam. Thank you, ma'am. Okay. Moving on. So the 12th lesson that I learned was that your audience is built one human at a time, right? So stop chasing going viral per se. Like when or if and when it happens, it's wonderful. It's a beautiful thing. Ride the wave. But talk to one person, right? Comment and like respond to people's comments, especially in the beginning of the journey when you don't have a lot, and interact with human beings, reply to comments, right? Build relationships in person, right? 1,000 true fans really goes a long way and really changes everything as an artist, right? That whole 1,000 true fans model is real, right? So where you are, allowing 1,000 true people to like make you income. Like just the other day of me dropping my song, Just Be, right? I already made like probably what it would take, like, I don't know, 10,000 streams to make, like off of just that one, me dropping the song. Like 2 people bought it and gave me tips that ended up making me, like, if I had only tried to go the streaming route or streaming way, it would have taken me thousands of like streams just to accumulate how much I earned from me interacting and like putting out my music, you know, independently, right? So just recognize that like talking and cultivating that relationship with just one person and touching that one life can actually fuel your lifestyle, can pay a bill, can, you know, eventually fuel your life as a creative, and understanding that virality isn't really the true marker of success, right? And as an artist and as a business owner, right? The 13th lesson that I learned is being fully yourself is the business strategy, right? I spent years wondering what niche to choose, right? What niche, however you say it, right? And the answer always was being my true self, being my Mosaic soul that I've always been, right? And embracing my many passions, like, was the secret sauce. And it wasn't really the problem for me. It was actually hiding them, always trying to find a way to fit myself into some box so that I could be palatable for other people, right? I laugh at it fun now because it's just like, why did I do that? I did all this contortion, whatever. And it just like, it stunted my growth so many times. If I had just embraced being a Mosaic soul from the get-go and to stop trying to like siphon myself off and put myself neatly in the perfect branding package and the perfect everything happens for a reason. It's all good. But the biggest lesson that I would have taken away from that is to stop hiding pieces of yourself. Be your authentic self. Like, you are your branding strategy. You are your business strategy. Being yourself, showing up authentically and talking about the things that really light you up, that showing your journey, showing, you know, the different pieces of who you are is the enticing thing. You are your brand. Ta-da! If you want to know how to create a successful brand, be yourself. I know it seems very simple, but a lot of times, and that's the hard part. I think it's just learning to be okay with who you are and not giving two F's. I really want to curse, but I'm not going to. 2 F's. What other people think about you, right? Your people will find you and they will rock with you. They will jive with you. They will love what you do. And everybody else, they're not your people. It's really just that simple. It's really just that simple. The people that you're meant to touch, you will actually touch, and they will rock with you. You know what I mean? I have people who have followed me for years, who have supported me for years, who have bought my courses or bought my art or bought my music over years, you know, like, and it's amazing. Like, it's amazing to have, like, you know, humans that I've never met in person who I've connected with on an emotional, intellectual, or spiritual level. And that's such a beautiful thing. And I don't want you to discount you being yourself as like something that's going to hinder you from your success. It really isn't, right? When you just embrace yourself, people really love authenticity, right? That's the secret sauce. That's the secret juju when you put that out, right? And then the 14th and final lesson that I really learned, the biggest lesson, was that I wasn't waiting for the world to discover me. I was waiting for myself to discover myself, to recognize what I had already built, right? Discovering myself was the success, right? Coming in and stepping into my own was the success. Everything else is just simply an expansion of that. It's just simply an outward marker of me stepping more fully into my divinity, stepping more fully into being my true authentic self, right? And so if I could tell my younger self one thing, it would be, don't wait to feel successful before you act. Go ahead and create, right? Share, right? Celebrate and repeat, right? And understand that success isn't arriving somewhere. It's building a life where you are already waking up excited to create and to do what your soul feels called to do. That's what success is, right? If you could give it like, and you can define success on your own terms, but for me, that exactly is what success, waking up and being like, oh, what do I get to create now? What do I get to create next? Ooh, what is calling me next? Ooh, what do I want to listen to next? Like being inspired by other creatives and then like alchemizing that and creating your own creative thing that you do in the world, right? So if you're wanting a resource, right, to help you track your numbers and become more of who you truly are and be more of the CEO of your artistry business, I definitely invite you to go ahead and sign up for my Mosaic Souls World waitlist. In there, there's going to be not only monthly chronicles, quest, and so much more that help you step more fully into you being your sovereign self, your divine self, coming back home to your true self. And then definitely this artist money toolkit that I've been working on behind the scenes will definitely be in there as well. So definitely sign up at mosaicsoulsworld.com. I hope this message finds you well. Let me know which of the lessons that you have learned or which ones resonate for you in your own journey if you are also an artist. And always remember to flow with what feels good and let go of what doesn't, because you are divine. You are a divine being, and your soul knows exactly what you've come to explore and experience. So remember, what you conceive is what you'll receive, what you expect is what you'll get, and however you feel is what will become real for you. So vibrate higher, and I'll chat with you guys next time. Peace, love, and light.